Hi, welcome to Melissa's Money Mindset. As a print-on-demand business owner of nearly 10 years, I thought it could be helpful for me to talk about the most common mistakes that I see people making who are just starting out in the world of print-on-demand or e-commerce businesses. Now, this video could end up being pretty long, so I'm actually gonna break it up into two more manageable parts. So today, I'm going to focus on mistakes around the thought process going into the business and also mistakes pertaining to your very first design creation. If that sounds good to you, then stick around. And before we get into the video, if you could please do me a huge favor and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you never miss another money-making tip. Let's get right into it. The very first mistake is thinking this is a get-rich-quick scheme. Now, I know that would be an absolute dream come true if all you had to do was upload a design, snap your fingers, and you sold a product immediately. Now, that's not always the reality in the world of e-commerce print-on-demand. Actually, rarely is that the reality. So when you're first approaching a print-on-demand or e-commerce business, you firstly need to think about it as a legitimate business. And businesses aren't just built overnight. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of time. And eventually, hopefully, you will see success. Because think about the millions and millions and millions of products that are currently for sale, let's say on the Amazon platform. I will show you just a few of them right here. So firstly, you basically have to wait for your listing to go live. You'll submit your listing and your description and your design to, let's say, Merch on Demand, Amazon's Merch on Demand platform. You basically have to wait for their team to approve your design, which could take about 24 hours. And then let's say if you're uploading something to a platform like Etsy, where you can insert specific tags, it can take a while, maybe potentially even up to 30 days for the Etsy algorithm to kind of figure out where to slot that into their inventory and how best to show that within their catalog to people searching on the Etsy platform, to people looking to buy something from Etsy. So like I said, if you have a really well-researched design, a well-keyworded listing, and then a very high quality actual physical design, I would say that you should start to see anywhere between 1 and 5 sales probably within the first 30 days. Now, if you're running traffic to it, AKA you're running ads, so Etsy ads or Amazon ads, you may see sales a little bit sooner. That could also be true if maybe you're hopping on a holiday trend or some other kind of big social media trend that's happening at the time. But generally, if we're talking about an evergreen design or a design that's going to sell regularly year round, I'm completely happy with just a few sales within that 30-day period as basically proof of concept that you nailed it and there is potential here. So like I said, I would just focus on uploading as many well-researched, well-keyworded, and well-designed products as you possibly can. And if you're just starting out and maybe your time is a little bit limited, I would probably focus on the Amazon Marketplace, so Amazon Merch on Demand program, or even Amazon's Seller Central program, just because Amazon generally has the largest print-on-demand audience. But if you do have some extra time, it could definitely be beneficial to branch out to Etsy, Redbubble, or any of the other numerous print-on-demand platforms. And you could see more sales that way simply by distributing that same design across multiple marketplaces. Mistake number 2 is copying other people's designs. And I have a few things to say about that specific topic. 1, this just isn't good practice. This just isn't being a good, kind, quality human being. And frankly, it's pretty crappy to do to somebody else. I've had this happen to me many times over the years where I take the time to research keyword and have a design created that's selling well, and someone just comes in and slaps up that same design and basically is stealing sales away from me. And frankly, that's just wrong. So please don't be one of those people. Do your own research. You are responsible for what you put up on these print-on-demand platforms at the end of the day, and karma will get you if you're just copying other people. And my second point here is that when I come across a design that's selling really well and a design that actually inspires me to create my own design, the first questions that I tend to ask myself are, 1, do I think that I can actually improve upon this? And if so, how? And how could I make it different in some kind of meaningful way? And if the answer to either of those questions ends up being no, I honestly just don't even bother and I move on because that's not worth my time. And this is also a really great way to have your designs removed from the platform pretty quickly, or even to get completely banned from selling on one of these print-on-demand platforms. And actually sellers, so I myself monitor Amazon and my very best selling designs to see, is somebody putting up a design that is actually my exact design? Like they literally downloaded my exact design and now they're selling it to try to steal sales from me? Or do I think a design is just way too similar? They didn't change really anything about the design. And I think that they're infringing on my intellectual property. So know that sellers are always on the lookout, and sellers can report people that they think are infringing on their property, on this design that they created that is making them money. And even the platforms themselves, so Amazon, Etsy, have a team dedicated to basically patrolling their site. Again, looking for these copycats. Whose design was put up first? Who is the copycat design? Whose design was put up second? And who do we need to potentially ban from our platform here as a bad actor? So if you see a design that's selling well, think about how you could change up the layout of the design, the positioning of the text potentially, maybe change up the colors a little bit, add some distressing, and even change up the graphic. Mistake number 3, making generic text-only designs. I see a lot of people, and frankly, beginners, focus a lot on text-only designs, and that's simply because they're really easy to make. You don't need Photoshop skills, you don't need any graphic design skills. Anybody can make a text-only design, slap some font on a PNG file, and you're good to go. Now, I obviously don't have a problem with all text-only designs. If you have a design that you think is really unique and different, maybe your design has a funny saying or something that's not trademarked, and you think it's going to sell well, then by all means, go for it. I think that's great. But I'm specifically talking about certain niches that are completely oversaturated, and I'm gonna pop up some images on the screen right here with over 1,000 of the same text-based designs. And honestly, how do these people expect to stand out when every single design looks the same? Maybe the font choice is slightly different, but they all say the same thing. They all have the same layout. Their shirts are literally exactly the same. Their chances of ranking and even selling a t-shirt within this category is extraordinarily low. So again, instead of just copying, rinsing, and repeating what hundreds, if not thousands of people have done already, going back to my previous point, think about how you can be new, unique, and different. How can you make your design stand out? Maybe you could reword the popular phrase, you could add a relevant image, you could again change the layout of the design. There are so many ways that you could make it your own. And again, if you can't think of a way to make it your own and make your design stand out, then honestly, don't even waste your time. Your time is better spent elsewhere in a niche that isn't so saturated, in a niche that you can really make your own. And that's not even a knock on new sellers. If you're an experienced print-on-demand seller, again, how are you going to compete with a design that already has, let's say, 1,000 or 2,000 designs, and it's a text-based design? How are you going to compete with that unless you're going to throw thousands and thousands of dollars of basically ad spend at it? And even at that point, nothing is guaranteed. So I personally don't waste my time on designs like that. I just find my own niche or find a way to make it my own. And I think basically the point here is to learn where your time is best spent. Time is your most valuable resource. So don't waste it essentially on something that's not going to benefit you in the end. And that leads us to our 4th mistake. Mistake number 4, don't choose oversaturated niches. Again, these don't have to be text-only designs. I'm referring to text-only designs and or designs that have text and a graphic. So I'm gonna pop up a few right here just so that you can kind of see what I'm referring to. And then I also wanted to show you a pretty clear-cut example of this. So let's head over to Amazon. So let's say that you wanted to make a cute dog t-shirt. So as you can see here, if I search for cute dog t-shirt, there are over 100,000 search results. Now, again, you could be the best seller in the entire world, and you could still have a problem standing out in the dog niche. It's humongous. Now, I have the Productor extension installed here, so I can quickly and easily see each t-shirt's BSR or best sellers ranking, their estimated monthly sales, and the keywords and long tail keywords that they might be ranking for. So this niche is just too broad for my liking. Again, finding a way to stand out in a niche where there's over 100,000 results is going to be really, really difficult. So instead, I like to do something called niching down, meaning that essentially you're just looking for a much smaller subset within this dog niche. that you could potentially be competitive in. So let's head back over to Amazon again, and I'm gonna look for a dog engineering shirt. So there's probably a lot of dog lovers that either work as an engineer or maybe are going to school to become an engineer. So as you can see here, there aren't even 300 results for this. And then the Productor extension tells me that the highest sales rank is around 40,000, which is wonderful. The prices here seem reasonable. Same thing if we search for dog physical therapy. So basically combining the topics of dogs and physical therapists. So that could be human or dog physical therapist, or even therapy dogs. And there's about 200 results here. So again, you can see that prices are reasonable. And the highest sales rank is still around 74,000, which is great. So again, combining two potentially much smaller niches together has been my key to success for a lot of my print-on-demand designs. And it's also kind of fun to see what creative topics you can come up with and really who is out there looking for these very specific items within the marketplace. And if you have a product that takes off in one of these much smaller sectors, I highly recommend making, let's say, somewhere between 10 and 20 designs to essentially just compete against yourself. Because if you're competing against yourself within this much smaller subsector of niches, then your chances of winning, aka making a sale, are that much higher. Mistake number 5 is not properly conducting market research to assess market demand. This is a really, really common mistake that I see beginners in the world of print-on-demand making. They're new to the world of e-commerce and they think that doing market research simply means going to the front page of Amazon, going to the homepage of Amazon, searching for graphic t-shirts, and then filtering by best-selling designs, and then making an almost exact replica of some of these most popular designs. Now, sure, sorting by best-selling will show you the shirts or the graphic t-shirts that are selling best on Amazon, but it doesn't tell you anything else about how saturated those markets are, how competitive those markets are, what keywords those items are ranking for, or any of the other very specific information that you would need to know to really be competitive in that marketplace. And you have to be really careful because a lot of items that are best selling, people have trademarks on so that other sellers can't come in and do exactly what I'm talking about and copy their design, basically word for word or graphic for graphic. Honestly, the most impactful change for me in this specific area has been signing up for a market research software. Now, there are a few out there, so you're just gonna have to find whichever one works best for you. I personally love Merch Informer for Amazon's Merch on Demand program, and I attribute a lot of my success on Amazon to their tool. I use Sale Samurai for my Etsy research and then BookBolt for my KDP research. So again, there are different tools depending on which marketplace you're planning on selling in. And all 3 of the market research softwares that I just mentioned actually do offer a free 3-day trial, and there's absolutely no commitment upfront. So you can essentially try them out for 3 days, do your market research. Merch Informer even has a designer, so you can create your own designs right inside of the software, and it's much easier than me trying to bumble around in Photoshop. Same thing with BookBolt. You can actually design your own book cover and interiors, and you can make things like word searches, Sudokus, and coloring books with the click of a button all inside the software. I have tons of videos about all 3 of these softwares on my channel, so be sure to check those out. I'll link them in the description box down below. I have a 20% off coupon code for all 3 of them as well, so you can feel free to use my code MMM20. Again, that's MMM20 to get 20% off a subscription with any 3 of these software companies. Mistake number 6, making designs as if you are the buyer. Most people, when they're designing, think, I would, or inversely, I wouldn't be caught dead in whatever that t-shirt has on it. But the world of print on demand and graphic design can be kind of a wacky space that could take a little bit of time to figure out. So make sure that you're not ignoring your audience preferences. And I'm gonna show you a really easy way to do this. So I want you to pay attention in this specific example 2 things that you find in common among all of these designs that I'm about to show you. So let's head back over to Amazon. They've recently added a new feature that essentially tells you roughly how many have sold in the past month. Pay attention to the ones that have sold the most, and you'll probably be on your way to your own best-selling design. So as an example, I wanted to search for an ice fishing t-shirt. So if I'm searching for that specific keyword, Amazon says there are over 1,000 results for this category. Now let's sort by best sellers over here on the right. I'm going to toggle down to best sellers, and we'll see if there are any similarities among the ones that are most successful. So not all of these shirts are print-on-demand shirts. So of the print-on-demand options here, which I'll open up in separate tabs, they're all pretty sarcastic, like off-the-cuff kind of humor. I would say they're obviously geared towards men, which I would say I know probably a lot more men that go ice fishing than women. They all have this distressed kind of texture to them, and they all include a picture of a person ice fishing, an actual fish, or a fishing rod or reel. So think about how you could make a similar design, but again, make it your own. So here I'm using ChatGPT to essentially help me come up with some witty ice fishing sayings, and then I can find an image to accompany it. I can also play around with finding just the right font and also add that kind of weathered texture to it, so that you could potentially have your very own bestseller in this category. Mistake number 7 is making overly complex designs. Now, I know that you know what I mean by this. Sometimes you see people wearing a shirt out in public, or you see a t-shirt for sale online, and it's just almost overwhelming to look at. There's so many bright colors, so much weird font. Sometimes the font is so bizarre. I've seen so many script-based, kind of like cursive-based fonts that I can't even read what your shirt says anymore. So again, I'm gonna pop up some examples on the screen right here. So let's again use these as examples of exactly what not please to create. And again, the point of designing essentially is to make your clothing marketable, right? You want it easily recognizable, especially if you're building a brand. So think about using appropriate colors, using appropriate font that obviously you can read from maybe a 10-foot distance or a 30-foot distance. And you also want images or graphics that, again, you can see what the heck is the point of the shirt. What is actually happening on this shirt? What is this shirt trying to portray to the public? And also make sure that whatever you're designing is actually going to show up on whatever color t-shirt you choose to offer that shirt in. So if you're making an all black design, don't go and put that on a black colored t-shirt because nobody's ever going to see it. So it's just being mindful of things like that. So those are all my business mindset, research, and creation mistakes to avoid as a complete beginner in the world of print on demand. If this video was helpful, please do me a huge favor and hit that thumbs up button, letting me know that you thought it was helpful so that I can create more content just like this. And if you want me to cover a specific topic, I'm always open to video recommendations, so leave those in the comment section down below. As always, feel free to follow me on my social channels right here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.